Yo, what's up with y'all? It's K Major. Today I'm showing you guys how to make some dark ambient melodies for Southside. So let's get straight to the video. So you guys already heard that preview in the beginning, so I'm just gonna get straight to the breakdown. The first sound I used for this melody I sadly deleted, but I still have the MIDI to show you guys. But the first sound that I use is how it sounds. So I did manipulate a lot of the sample and especially the sound. So the original sound was pitched up 200 cents and I reversed it. So the original sound sounds like this. For the effects on here, I just did a little bit of stereo separation. I added some fruity reverb. I just turned the separation knob to the left, and then I just took out all the highs and lows on an EQ, just kind of give it that filter effect. And like I said, I pitched it down 200 and then I reversed it. The next sound I added was an X band. I just went to the 16 soft stringy pad. This is the same MIDI I used for the other sound, so I'll explain this MIDI in a bit. So how I came up with this MIDI was I first came up with this small pattern right here. I basically started with C sharp and I went up the scale to F sharp and then G sharp, and I duplicated this pattern over and moved the G sharp a half step up to A, and basically having these two notes together gives it that tension in the melody and that dark feel. And I just took the same melody, copied it over, except I added the A. Then the last thing I did was I duplicated the C sharp down here an octave up. So after that, I took that same pattern and I duplicated it for the entire half, and then all I did was I highlighted all the notes and I went here to this little arrow and I held Alt and I just dragged it down. This basically is making it double the speed, which sounds like this. Then yeah, I just took that same half and I duplicated it for the entire segment. For the effects on here, I just panned it a little bit to the left and I did some stereo separation. I added ambience. All I did was I opened it up and turned the mixer knob down, and I just EQ'd all the lows and highs, and I raised the volume on here because it was really quiet. These are basically the two sounds I added for this part right here. This is how they sound. After that, I just exported it into this part right here. So after this is when I kind of manipulated the sample. I had this little segment right here, and I had to basically manipulate it into these other parts to make a full loop and, you know, not just be repetitive and boring. So the first thing I did was I took the original sample right here and I chopped it up into these parts. How I made this sound was I basically took this, I just cut the sample and I pitched it up an octave, and I also just went up here and made sure that the stretch knob was enabled, and I just stretched it down so it was like double the speed. For the effects, I just added a tiny bit of reverb and I added chorus. I just opened it up, I didn't really tweak it at all, and then I just took out a lot of the lows and some of the highs. After that, I added effectrix. I just added the reverse effect for the entire melody. I selected the 8. And then I added this phaser in the beginning, and I just added a reverb throughout the whole thing, and it sounds like this. I exported it into this part right here, and then all I did was I enabled stretch again, and I just stretched it to be longer, so it's kind of like half the speed. I I added more reverb for this part, and I just took out all the highs and lows, so I kind of just left the mids. Similar to the original sample, I just kind of had that filter effect. The next thing was I basically copied it over, but I did not half time it. It's just the original speed. I just added this automation clip which controls the stereo knob down here. It's basically just going in and out, mono, and then back to 0%, and then mono, and then back to 0%. And then after that, I just took the original sample and I just pitched it down an octave. After that, I just basically exported the sample and I pitched it up 100 cents. The sample was basically done, but I still felt like it was missing something. I still felt like it was pretty dry. So I went into Contact and I added nucleus. I just added the strings sustained. I just turned the dynamics down, and I went to the advanced and turned the start knob up. Basically, I just stayed in scale and I went down. So I went from G and then F, D sharp, D, and then C, and then back up with this little section. And then I just copied it over, and then over again. I just did an octave up, which is control, and then up the arrow. And then yeah, it's basically this very simple segment. For the effects, I panned it a little bit to the right just for it to be more in the center. Added a lot of reverb so it could kind of have that pad effect and have more of an echo. For the stereo enhancer, I just went to the 4 strings preset, and then I just EQ'd a lot of the lows and mids and lowered some of the highs. And then all I did was I duplicated it throughout the playlist, and then I just exported it, and this is how the final sample sounds. I forgot to mention the last thing I did before I exported it was I added an EQ. I just lowered some of the mids, some of the high lows, and I raised some of the highs just for the melody to be more crisp and have less mids and lows. And then I added a tiny bit of reverb, and then that was it. That was really it for the melody. This sample will be in my new loop kit dropping Friday. It's gonna be 10 samples around, you know, the dark Southside stuff, but I'm also gonna be having some other stuff in there. I'm just trying to, you know, expand and have more variety. A lot of the dark Southside stuff, but also some different varieties. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that, and make sure you guys check out my other tutorials. I'll leave a playlist link in the description, and also check out my other loop kits. But if you guys did enjoy, make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you're notified when I upload. Also follow me on Instagram. I'm literally about to hit 300 followers. I need like literally one more. I'll be dropping a loop kit for that, and also we're about to hit 500 on the channel, so I'm also gonna be dropping a loop kit for that. So you got this loop kit dropping Friday, and then we got one for the Instagram and one for the YouTube. So a lot of loop kits dropping soon. But that's really it for the video, man. I really hope you guys learned something new, and I'll see you on the next one.